and you'll see like it'll be just our general chit chat, just with tad more structure. But thank you for taking the time, Varun, to jump on and just give us, a bit of background and some 2 cents around, what you've got out of the program. But like, feel free, mate, to just quickly introduce yourself and just give us a bit of background as to who you are and what it is that you do.
Cool, thank you, Patrick. So, yeah, I'm Varun. I'm London-based digital product designer, so the whole UX, software, app space. I've been doing that for the last decade, mainly working previously at a lot of agencies for other people, and jumping around from project to project, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of my background. And then probably about, I'd say about 18 months ago, probably just at some point of the pandemic, is when I jumped onto the Profitable Designer course with our very own Patrick. And yeah, essentially it's been it's really been transformative. I've left
what in job. Regards to that, like, take me through structurally where were you at doing your own thing that led you to think that working with us was a good idea?
Yeah, so it's like multiple factors. Like, the agencies that I would work at, I do really well. I'd help them win business, but in a typical agency manner, pitching large, long proposals, and then working out on the proposals. And I would always notice, I got a fairly decent salary, like 60-ish K. But then I'll look at, well, I'm getting the day rate they're charging me out is like, 1,400. I'm like, oh, that'd be great if I could make that type of money. And then actually shortly after, when I was thinking, all right, I want to leave this job and do my own thing, like I had a few health issues, and then that kind of kept me in the job a lot longer. You almost think, I've got a safety net here. I can't go off on my own. Just loads of negative talk. And yeah, I think a lack of confidence started happen after a while. But then I came across Patrick's course online, and I've always been the type that I'd happily jump into courses. I like learning in that respect. And then, yeah, started doing the course. And then, yeah, I guess in terms of trajectory, when I started properly getting into the course was, I would say, September time. Around that, I'd never actually, I've picked up very small pieces of work, like less than like 2-3 grand. And then September, 0 grand, but, going through the course material, really, I think the main thing was like focusing on my niche and trying not to do everything, still figuring that out, but I'm a lot more closer to where I was compared to when I started, obviously. So September was like on 0. I think November, I got like my first sizable chunk, which was through word of mouth, just, putting out feelers on LinkedIn, which was about $7,500. And then after that, December got up to $30,000. January had a bit of a dip. And then since then, I've been consistently around the $30,000 mark. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. This side of the year, I've already earned more in a couple of months. I've earned more than any of my previous salaries in a whole year, right? And then that's afforded me a lot of time now to actually think about not chasing the monthly pay slip, which when you're chasing the monthly pay slip, that's a terrible place to be. But now I'm at a point where I can say no to projects, and I've said no to projects actually a couple of days ago, a sizable project which would have taken me for April, May and June to $50,000 a month. And that's purely because I'm basically thinking more like a business owner rather than a designer who just wants to jump into the design tools and do all the design, basically being a design moth.
For people that don't know what Varun's talking about, design moth's a term that we use in the training program that kind of talks about like why we believe most people don't move towards their goals quicker. It's because they just copy what they see most people doing, like path of least resistance. But mate, take me through what have been your biggest aha moments
So my biggest aha moments are, I would say, I'd say one of them definitely was a mindset shift, sorry, which was I'd start really thinking about the whole 80-20 rule, right? Whatever projects, client related projects, is like, okay, what is the 20% here that I can focus on that I'd give most of the impact? And what very, very quickly happened was, rather than working a whole 12-hour, 10-hour day, slogging and doing loads of little things and things that were basically not moving the needle for even my client, I just focus on that 20%, and within 3 hours I would have done a substantial amount that actually moved the needle, and I got that time back. And then that time back has allowed me to focus on other areas of my life, including the business, which is, continuously looking at my offer, learning any other new skills, and just general, if I've got some life stuff that I need to handle, it's afforded me that time.
Nice, mate. And I mean, I think you've just gone through the next question, which was really what some of the results of the thinking have been. So, like it's been 6 or 7 months to go from 0 to like 30K per month, like on average. What are some of the physical and mental changes you feel between where you were at in September and where you're at now?
I think a big part of it is like, at that time it was more like, in September it was more of like a pipe dream. It would be nice to have all this stuff and the whole vision board, but now it's almost like I'm just working backwards and just calculating the numbers essentially around like, okay, like this is how long I will get this. This is, per project value, like what do I need to increase it to get to this? It basically just feels like things have become a lot more tangible. It's less of a belief, like, is it going to happen? It's just a more so about just working backwards and like, okay, this is when it's going to happen essentially.
Got it. And like how has the program changed the way that you think about like what's possible and where you're heading, I suppose?
Oh, totally. Like, so basically 2026, I know what house we're going to get. It's going to be in the millions. And yeah, the mindset shift is just big. It's not an if, it's more so when. I think there's a lot of like, I already had like, it's weird, I already had motivation before, but it fluctuated quite a bit, right? But from the course, it's like what I've started to get is like more of this like persistent will to do it. And I think also from the project, what also helps is you might have a lot of energy and motivation and you just direct it everywhere, and you might direct it at the wrong things. But I think one of the big things I'm getting from the project is you have this finite energy that you need to distribute on stuff in a day to take you forward. And yeah, one of the biggest thing I've got is this literal structure with enough detail to follow. So it's like, for me, it's dummy proof, right? I can read as many other books and go to other courses and speak to other agency owners who do everything like other agency owners, and they're all selling the same product and they're speaking about it in the same way. But then, yeah, just going through this course, I've always, yeah, basically like I could share this to a million other designers if I wanted to, but part of me is very selfish and wants to keep it for myself. Essentially, so sorry, Patrick. I know I could be losing out on quite a few referrals, but it's that level of course where I'm glad I'm a lifelong member as well, because if the course and this teaching material just like kind of vanished overnight, I'd be pretty pissed, if I'm honest. Yeah, that's why when Patrick's like he's launching a new version of the course, I'm one of the first people like that pops up in his DMs like, hey, can I get the course? Yeah, we're doing it tomorrow. But yeah, can I get it, please? And then I'll be sitting there refreshing. And I think when I got access to the version mastermind, like literally I've been diving into it, but it's almost like you go through it like 0 to 100, just go through like the program, you'll get a lot from it, but then it's almost like you've got all this material that you just can keep going back to when you have different problems, albeit we've got the calls, which are very helpful. For example, yesterday's call with the group, I didn't have any specific questions. I tend to walk in there at times without any questions, but holy shit, like yesterday, I got so many golden nuggets and insights because everybody's almost developing the same mindset. We're referencing the same content. We're speaking the same language, and the problems that like you're solving and helping us solve, you've seen it thousands of times, right? So you know how to approach it. So yeah, yesterday, even when we had the group call, like that for me was equally as important as going through the course material.
Yeah, yesterday was kind of a special one because we really did go through what the new training program, like how we think about like building offers with the new training program. But just feel free, like this is a super open-ended question, but the post that you put in the group to explain your transformation was very heavy on the idea of systems. So maybe feel free to just give me your interpretation of like how you think about systems now. I know that's open-ended, but I think you've spent a lot of time thinking about how to build very rigid structure in a lot of ways. So feel free to just kind of shed a bit of light as to, you know, where your growth has been in terms of that.
Yeah, so systems thinking is a difficult concept to get your head around, and I think like many people might not want to work in this systems way. Like probably that's why a lot of us become designers as well, right? Because we just want to be constantly diverging and in this space of creativity where technically the perceivement is there's not a lot of systems. But I think, yeah, the transformation, there's a few things. I think the systems just help almost a daily, weekly or monthly basis, just help me check off things that I just need to do, right? So in the context of if before the whole systems mindset, I probably most of the time would be just focusing on like my portfolio and detailed case studies is what I'd essentially do. And that, you know, that's pretty much what I do. But with the systems now, I'm just like, okay, cool. Morning meditation. Okay, go through you know, my Y doc. I've got the terminology of it, sorry. And then I've just got this
objective
doc. Yeah, and then yeah, it's almost like it's just a general checklist. I think it helps, especially like I work remotely as well as an independent, that just having a little bit of that structure helps. And in terms of system thinking, it's almost like you don't even have to relate it only to your business. I think it's more of a life concept. Like, so what started to happen for me is I've got health issues, but I take a systems approach to it, right? Like, okay, if I'm having an issue here, why is that? You know, what have I eaten recently? Have I slept enough? What have I done differently with this system this week compared to last week? Oh, well, okay, this is what you did. You went and got a frigging takeaway with spicy food. Okay, that's probably why like your system's fucked this week. Whereas even like from a marriage perspective, you know, I've got a kid on the way, like having that a system in place and just touching base on that, like in the type of conversations that I can have with my wife when I take the systems mindset is like, okay, have we spent enough time together? Okay, what's a good way to make sure that system's in place? Actually, we get, you know, midday whilst we're working, we make sure that we just go for a quick half-an-hour walk, and that helps maintain that system partially as well. And then with the business stuff, I think there's just so many systems, plural, in place, but you've alluded to it before. It's just making sure you've got this system, even if you think about it in a literal sense, like a machine, and it just needs to be well oiled, because the goal eventually is I want my design business in a place where it's making enough money, but it doesn't need me at the helm 12 hours a day. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that I see with a lot of agencies, is that agency owners are at the wheel of, like, they're not, I think you've said it before, they're working in the business rather than on the business. And if I didn't have a systems mindset, I would think that working 12 hours a day in my business and doing a lot of the work myself only, I would view that actually as a good thing beforehand, right? Now it's just like, when I see people doing it, I'm just like, oh crap, guys, you're doing it totally the wrong way. Like, your business, essentially, if you're not there for a couple of days or a week, your business still needs to run smoothly. You might need to come back and sort a few things out and just make sure some of the systems are in place. But essentially, that's why we even create a business, right? We want to create something that is self-sustaining to an extent. That is a good business. So yeah, that's my brain dump around
on systems. Love it, mate. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to offer some insight, mate, into your transformation and kind of, you know, the things that you pulled out of it. But yeah, greatly appreciated, and we'll chat again soon.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Patrick.